Do you know that every hiring manager in the planet come in a interview with two type of question? The first type is the type that if you fail, you can still go to the next level. The first type is the type that he want to see how you think, what you have done in your past, and the most, how you gonna fit into the team. But the second type is a bomb. If you miss that, you are done. If you miss one of those questions, you are out of the interview. So today, we are going to go through the 5 most asking Linux interview, cloud interview, and even DevOps interview that you don't want to miss during your next interview. Before we start, here is what most candidates do wrong. They answer question to the minimum. The hiring manager asks a question, and that question, there are different answers to it, and they only focus on one answer. And also, they don't provide no explanation. A senior engineer go all the way. He listen to the question, answer the question. If they have 1, 2, 3 comment, provide the same information. He provide them and even acknowledge the small twist degree those comment. He also connect the question to a scenario, and that right there is the difference between somebody who want to get higher and somebody who want to be dance for his time. Without wasting any more time, let's start. The hiring manager asks, how do you check which shell you are currently running in your Linux system? Many people don't even know the answer to this question. Some who knows the answer will only give one answer. But you, after watching this, you'll be able to provide 3 exclusive answers. The first answer is to echo. You will say you to echo the variable shell. And that is going to tell us that we are on the bash shell. So this directory right here is the variable to this shell, capital shell right here. So that means this equal this. The second method to get the bash directly is to echo $0. This tells you directly that you are on the bash shell. The last method is for advanced users. For people who have worked on a Linux command line for a while, or they have extensive knowledge in Linux. So you're going to tell the manager that You prefer to use the cat command to cat the etc password, pub, and create the current user logon. That's going to be this guy. And this is super important because this tells us the current shell, the current logon user is using. And for this case, it's batch. You may be wondered, why should we even worry about know which shell we are currently working on or we are currently using? This is super important when it comes the time to write script. Your script must know which shell he is going to use to execute your script. In Linux, there are many shells. There are Z shell, there are fish shell, and also there are bash shell. To see all the shell on our current system, we use the command cat etc shells. Question number 2. The hiring manager asks, how do you check how long a Linux system has been running? Most candidates say uptime and stop there. Here is how you approach this question. The first thing to do is to say uptime as everybody, and then explain these 4 pieces of information. Right here, this piece tells you about the current time on your system. This up right here tells you how long your system has been up. That is 3 hours and 44 minutes. And this one right here tells you how many users are currently on this system for. And this one right here tells you about the low average, which is how your system has been low for the last 1 minute, 5 minutes, and 15 minutes. If you want to understand how low work on the Linux system or how to use the low average to troubleshoot it, CPU, please let me know in the comment so I can create some chaotic engineering that is going to trigger this, and our CPU is going to be trolling, and we're going to be able to use that to troubleshoot it, to show you the step to how to use the low average to troubleshooting CPU. This information right here is great, but on the Linux system, most of the time, there's something called incident report. Incident report is related to application running on your system, and those application has what we call the application owner or the product owner. He is not going to understand this information, so you need to simplify for him by using the option, the flag P. This flag right here explains this up 3 hours and 46 minutes. That is really easy to understand. And this is your key to impress the hiring manager. You say that After you know how long your system has been running, you also check when was the last time your system was rebooting. And to achieve that, you just remove the P and add the flag S. This information is really critical because if your system has been up, or if the last time your system was reboot is now 100 days, he tells you something super important. Your software, the software running on the system, are super healthy. And also, he tells you that the system admin, people supporting this operation system, has not been patching the operation system and also the application running on the system. Because most applications after patching require a fresh start or a reboot. Question number 3. How do you check memory on a Linux system? This question and the last question can give you a job offer. This question is very critical because on most modern Linux system is very difficult to not have a memory problem from time to time. Most candidates will say the free command will have an H. That's great. But that is not you. You want to go all the way. You want to show the hiring manager that you understand the scope of this command. So here is what you're going to say. You're going to say you use the free command -H to see the overview of your memory and also your swap. And what you are meticulously looking are how many gigabytes of memory you have on your system, what is used, what is left, and the most important, what is available. Because free don't tell the whole truth. This is what tell you the whole truth. What is available is what can be allocated right away to application. Is it what can be used right away? What is available usually is a sum of free and also cache. We can break this down and see what we have in cache and what we have in buffet. In order to do that, we're gonna add another flag, the W. That's gonna break that down. So in cache, we have this is what we have, and in buffet, here is what we have. Hopefully, you know the difference between the buffet and the cache. If you don't, please comment below and we will create a video to show you how the data move from the disk to the cache and the index is stored in the buffet. So you're gonna explain all this to the hiring manager, and don't forget to say that you're also gonna glance at the swap to see if your system is swapping. If, for example, you see that your system is swapping, like here, you might think that my system is swapping, but actually it's not. and we can verify that with the VM star, which is going to be the second command you're going to share with the hiring manager to say that you use that to check memory or virtual memory on your system. This said that every 2 seconds, you're going to display the information about the memory or disk for file tab. As you can see here, this first one come from the boot process. So from here, from this row, go down, we're going to notice that my system is not swapping in or out. And also here, we can see the free memory, the buffer, and also the cache. And you can even go further, because with this question, you have to show that you have gigantic knowledge about memory on the Linux system. You can say that you can also see the memory, but catch the proc directory and look for memory info. Let's just get the first 10. So if you only get the first 10 here, you're going to see that it tells you about the total memory in your system, the gigabyte of course, what is left, the memory, the free memory, and what is available. So that's how you stand out. You stand out by explaining, by providing more detail, by telling the hiring manager that you understand exactly how memory works on the Linux system. Thank you for continuing watching. Our main goal is to ensure that you stand out during your next interview. Kindly subscribe, like, and share. That will give us the inspiration and the motivation to create more great video like this. Question number 4. How do you change file permission on a Linux system? When the hiring manager asks you this question, it's not just a simple question. This is a security question, and I promise you, if you fail this question, you are out of the interview. So this question is super important, because the hiring manager assumes that if you don't understand basic security in Linux, how are you going to understand high-level security, such as manage inbound and outbound traffic to your system? Or how are you going to understand mandatory security with, say, Linux? So you have to be careful with this question. Most candidates will say that they will use the chmod command. That's good, but that's not how I want you to answer. So let's create a file and I will show you how I want you to answer this question. So we create a file and we use this command to gather information about this file, and here are the permission. So the hiring manager is asking you, how do you change permission on a Linux system? So your answer should be, you want to explain first how you got this. Your answer should be, on a Linux system, every file created come with a default permission, and the default permission is based on the UMass value, and also on the file default permission, which is 666. So those are the two numbers that allows the Linux system to set this permission. Now that we understand that, you'll end by saying that after creating a file, I use the ls with the fly -l to see the default permission. And in order for me to change that permission, I use the chmod command. Now I set the new permission I want. So for this case, let's go with 664 for subtract. Here we go, and then you verify with that ls -l. Let's just get only that file. I want us to focus only on that file. Here we go. So that's how you change permission on a Linux system. So you use the chmod command to change permission on a Linux system. If you fail to answer this question correctly as question 3, you are not going to get that job. This question is one of the most asking Linux interview question. So you have to make sure that you answer this. No ask an average candidate, but ask a candidate who want to get that job. So most candidates will say they will use a df-h. That is great, but we want to take it to the next level. So let's start by df-h. We want to let the hiring managers know that we use the df-h, but we also want him to know that we understand what we are looking for. We're gonna let him know that we're gonna check the file system, and we're gonna see the file system size, see what is used, what's still available, the percentage of what have been using, and also the amount where our file system is malfunctioning. And to take it to the next level, because most hiring managers they really expect you to say that you also use the ls block. To have an overview of how each disk on your system is partitioned. For example, here is our disk. This is the first disk right here. And actually, we only have one disk here. So you're gonna see how is it partitioned. So we have here, is it partitioned here from 3? We have 3 partition here, 3 block device. And also we're gonna see the type of partition is it. This one is out Rocky DVD operation system. This one right here are LVM. So you want to be able to let the hiring manager know that at least 2 ways to check the file system on your system. And you should always start by DF and finish by LX Block. Before you go, check the description below. I have put together the list of the most asking Linux question into a PDF. It doesn't matter you are doing a Linux interview, the cloud interview, or the DevOps interview. That list definitely is going to help you. So make sure that you pick up a copy.